It started with a single TikTok, just a few seconds long, no names at first, no screenshots, just a soft-spoken creator looking straight into the camera saying he wasn't who everyone thought he was. And within hours, the internet figured out exactly who she meant. CoryxKenshin. That one sentence was all it took to send one of YouTube's most beloved creators into the center of a storm he never expected. Because if there was one thing everyone agreed on about Cory, it was that he was different, kind, humble, genuine, a man who'd built a decade-long career on faith, positivity, and staying out of drama. So, when a TikTok user by the name PandaNinjaXxOfficial came forward in July 2025 claiming that she'd been emotionally manipulated by him during a past relationship, people didn't know what to believe. At first, the video didn't even mention his name. But as fans started connecting the dots, matching details, old posts, dates, her comments section filled up with one name only. Are you talking about CoryxKenshin? Within a day, it was trending. CoryxKenshin shot up Twitter's trending list. TikTok
You guys,
feeds
it
flooded with
hurts me.
analysis,
Bro.
reaction videos, and storytime breakdowns. Some fans defended him instantly. Others said they'd always felt like something about his silence. His long hiatuses had a deeper story behind them. The internet had officially split into two camps: those who refused to believe it and those who demanded answers. Then came the follow-up video. This time, Panda Ninja confirmed it directly. She described her experience, saying she'd been emotionally drained, manipulated, made to feel guilty whenever she tried to set boundaries. She didn't accuse Cory of physical or sexual abuse, but she claimed the relationship left her mentally exhausted. That detail changed everything. It wasn't a crime. It wasn't something YouTube could ban him for, but it was something fans had never imagined from a man who ended every video with "be good people." The backlash grew fast. Some creators publicly unfollowed him. Others urged everyone to wait for proof. Hashtags like CoryxKenshin exposed and "We Stand with Cory" ran side by side, one calling for accountability, the other pleading for empathy. And in the middle of it all, Cory stayed silent. That silence became its own controversy. Some fans said it was wise, let the noise fade. Others said it made him look guilty. But those who'd followed Cory for years recognized the pattern. Every time life got heavy, he stepped away. He'd done it before, disappearing for months after burnout or emotional strain. Maybe this was no different. Weeks went by, and the story slowly cooled off. The accuser clarified in a third video that she wasn't trying to cancel anyone. She just wanted to speak her truth. Still, the damage was done. The once pure, controversy-free image of CoryxKenshin now had a scar, and yet many fans stayed. They pointed to years of positivity, charity streams, and encouragement. They said no single story could erase all the good he'd done. In the end, this controversy wasn't about proof or punishment. It was about the illusion of perfection. The idea that even the most wholesome creators are still human. Because when a community builds its hero up too high, even the smallest crack can shake the entire tower. But this wasn't the first time Cory found himself at the center of controversy. In fact, years earlier, he'd taken on something much bigger than himself. It began with a question. Not a scandal, not a slip-up. Just a single, frustrated question that would shake YouTube from the inside out. Why is my video age-restricted when theirs isn't? That's how it started, with CoryxKenshin staring at his screen in disbelief. The video in question? A gameplay of The Mortuary Assistant, one of those horror games that get reactions so real, fans replay them for months. But this time, something strange happened. YouTube had slapped an age restriction on it. No ads, limited reach, cut visibility. Cory didn't think much of it until he noticed that other creators, white creators, had uploaded the same content with the same moments, and their videos were just fine. So he appealed. He wrote to YouTube, explaining the inconsistency. At first, they reversed the restriction. But then, after he pushed the issue further, after he mentioned that he thought the system itself might be biased, something almost unbelievable happened. They reinstated the restriction. That's when he hit record. The video that came out on August 24th, 2022, wasn't like his usual uploads. There were no jokes, no jump scares, no laughter. Just Cory, serious, measured, and angry in a way his audience had never seen before. The title said it all: YouTube, racism, and favoritism. In that 14-minute upload, he laid everything bare: how he'd noticed his horror videos, especially those with darker themes, getting flagged more often, how other YouTubers could post the same content and skate by untouched, and how, when he brought up racial bias, YouTube's behavior suddenly changed. He said it felt like punishment for speaking up. Within hours, the internet exploded. Hashtags like Justice for Cory and YouTube bias flooded Twitter. Fans were furious. Even other big creators, from Jacksepticeye to Markiplier, came forward to support him, sharing their own experiences with inconsistent moderation. It wasn't just about one video anymore. It was about a system that many creators of color had quietly complained about for years, finally being dragged into the light. Cory's calm but passionate tone made the message hit even harder. He wasn't accusing individuals, he was calling out a machine. "I'm not saying YouTube is racist," he said at one point, "but I am saying there is racism in how the system works." The fallout was massive. YouTube had no choice but to respond. Days later, the company publicly stated that it had reviewed the situation and was taking steps to ensure more consistency in moderation. Behind the scenes, multiple employees reportedly reached out to Cory directly to discuss improvements. The restriction on his video was lifted again, and this time, it stayed that way. But something had changed forever. For the first time, a creator had used his platform not just to entertain, but to challenge YouTube itself, and won. CoryxKenshin became more than a YouTuber that week. He became a voice for fairness, for creators who felt unseen by an algorithm that never explained itself. And that's the power of that moment. It wasn't about one horror video. It was about a man who turned fear, not from a game, but from injustice, into something bigger. A demand to be treated equally in the system he helped build. But beyond the controversies and the battles with platforms, there was another pattern that defined Cory's career, one that confused and worried fans for years. It always happened the same way. No warning, no goodbye, just silence. One day, CoryxKenshin would post a video full of energy, laughter, and jump scares. And the next, nothing. His channel would go quiet. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. And soon, the internet started asking the same question it had asked too many times before. Where's Cory? For fans of CoryxKenshin, the mystery of his disappearances became almost legendary. Starting around 2016, every few years, he'd vanish from YouTube completely. No uploads, no tweets, no explanation. He'd built one of the most wholesome, community-driven channels on the platform, but his absences, sometimes lasting months or even years, sparked endless speculation. Was he okay? Was he done with YouTube? Had something happened behind the scenes? Each time it happened, theories exploded. Reddit threads turned into investigations. Fans analyzed old uploads for hidden messages, thinking he might have secretly hinted at retirement or burnout. And when he finally did come back, every single time, The internet went crazy. But behind the hype and excitement, there was something darker at play. Because these breaks weren't about laziness or inconsistency. They were about survival. Cory had always been open about his struggles with mental health, burnout, and the pressure of being the perfect creator. In one of his most emotional return videos, he admitted he'd been pushing himself so hard that he'd lost his sense of joy. Sometimes, he said, you have to step away to protect your peace. And yet, each break sparked the same debate. Some fans were supportive, saying creators deserved rest just like anyone else. Others were frustrated. They'd built entire communities around his content, and every time he disappeared, it felt like losing a friend without closure. People demanded explanations. Some even called him ungrateful for walking away from a career most would kill for. That tension between love and disappointment became part of Cory's story. His comebacks were legendary. Every return video broke records. I'm not dead, he'd joke, or did you miss me? The samurai, his devoted fan base, would flood the comments with relief, laughter, and gratitude. But in 2021, things shifted again. Cory uploaded a video titled, I'm retiring. Fans were heartbroken until just hours later, he posted again saying he'd changed his mind. It wasn't manipulation, it was honesty. He was torn between wanting peace and feeling guilty for leaving millions of fans waiting. Then came another hiatus in 2023, another comeback in 2024, each time the same emotional roller coaster. What people eventually realized was this. Cory's disappearances weren't just absences. They were a mirror of what so many people feel: burnout, pressure, fear of disappointing others. But unlike most, he lived those emotions in front of millions. And maybe that's why fans still love him through it all. Because in a world where creators chase constant uploads and endless growth, CoryxKenshin showed something radical: that stepping away doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. His story isn't just about vanishing. It's about coming back, every time, stronger, wiser, and still the same humble samurai they fell in love with years ago. So, what does CoryxKenshin's journey really teach us? That even the most beloved creators are human, that standing up for what's right, even against a system as powerful as YouTube, can create real change. And that sometimes disappearing isn't about giving up. It's about protecting yourself so you can return. Cory's story is messy, controversial, and deeply human. But through it all, he remained something rare in the world of content creation: authentic. Whether he was fighting bias, facing allegations, or simply stepping away to breathe, he never pretended to be perfect. And maybe that's exactly why millions of people still call themselves samurai. And that's it for today's video. What do you think about CoryxKenshin's journey? Was he right to call out YouTube? Should creators be expected to always explain their absences? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I love hearing different takes. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share it with someone who'd find it interesting too. It really helps the channel grow, and it keeps me motivated to bring you even more wild stories like this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.